Well, guys, it is official. We made it through an entire first week of the second Trump administration. It was a week of chaos. It was a week of incompetence. And most importantly, this week showed us that Donald Trump is not interested in accountability. He's not interested in transparency. Donald Trump is showing us that he is the swamp. He is the corruption that he has been complaining about for the past handful of years. And instead of holding true to his promises to try to make government more efficient and root out the fraud, waste, and abuse, Donald Trump is instead firing 18 inspectors generals that might hold his administration accountable one day. These are the independent bodies that are supposed to be above politics, and Donald Trump just fired a whole ton of them. Let's go ahead and take a look at the announcement, and then we will go from there.
President Donald Trump overnight fired more than a dozen federal inspectors general. The IGs are considered an independent check on abuse of power, tasked with investigating misconduct in federal agencies to assure it doesn't take place.
One more example of a lack of respect for rule of law.
These firings are Donald Trump's way of telling us he is terrified of accountability and is hostile to facts and to transparency.
The move is likely to result in legal challenges. In a letter by the Inspector General of the Small Business Administration, he wrote that he does not believe the actions taken are legally sufficient. Federal law requires Congress to receive a 30-day notice and case-specific details. Even Republican Chuck Grassley demanded further explanation from President Trump, writing in a statement, "There may be good reasons the IGs were fired. We need to know that."
So, these inspectors general's offices, these are supposed to be the check on power. They are supposed to be a non-partisan body that is independent from the partisan politics of it all. They're not supposed to have to worry about a Trump administration or a Biden administration. They are supposed to be independent bodies that speak truth to power and hold bad actors accountable. And Donald Trump is just saying, meh, I don't care about the law. I'm going to fire 18 of you guys. And the crazy part about it all is that many of these were hired by Trump in his first term. So he's basically telling the American people that even these people aren't loyal enough for me, and I'm going to get rid of them. Donald Trump is proving to the American people that he is one of the most corrupt president, if not the most corrupt president that this country has ever seen. Even the MAGA folks who voted for him deserve better than this. These offices are important to our democracy. They are a check on power. And Donald Trump is just operating under this false notion that he has been given a mandate by the American people and that he gets to do whatever he wants, when that couldn't be further from the truth. More people voted against Trump than they did for him. And just because he is operating under this false notion does not give him the right to break the law while trying to carry out whatever he wants to carry out. These inspectors generals were supposed to be given 30 days notice and a compelling reason if they were going to be fired from their post. So Donald Trump is proving yet again that he has no respect for the rule of law. Here is one of those inspectors generals who was fired. This is Mike Ware, and he is talking about what a threat this is to not only the transparency in government, but our democracy as a whole.
This is not about any of our individual jobs. We acknowledge that the president has the right to remove any of us that he chooses. But the protections that were baked in to the act is everything. Absent having to provide a real reason, we're looking at what amounts to a threat to democracy, a threat to independent oversight, and a threat to transparency in government. This is the statute isn't just a technicality. It's a key protection of IG independence, is what it is. And just like you referenced, just over 2 years ago, these things were put in to strengthen our independence, not to weaken it and treat it as if it's a technicality. And then think about this. I would say this to what I just heard. Adherence to the IG Act cannot be done in a piecemeal manner. You can't decide, I'm not going to follow that part of the IG Act, but, I'm going to follow the part that allows IGs to have full and unfettered access to all agencies' records and personnel. You're going to follow the part that says that we get to determine which investigations we conduct and not. If you split it up like that, it's all gone. We might as well not have an Inspector General Act at all. We might as well not have an independent oversight mechanism for our government.
And he is exactly right about that. You cannot just pick and choose what part of the law you are going to follow. We put these laws in place for a reason. And we understood that whether you are a Republican or a Democrat, that it was very possible that you could engage in corruption. That is why we established independent bodies to be able to look out for that corruption. And we all know that Donald Trump is just going to put loyalists in there, and that is going to compromise the integrity of those offices. Because how am I supposed to expect that a Trump loyalist, like somebody like Stephen Miller or somebody like that, is supposed to objectively seek out facts and hold the Trump administration accountable? I'm not going to be able to do that. So if Donald Trump is just tossing these people out, breaking the law while doing it, and then is going to replace them with loyalists, then these offices are null and void. They don't mean anything. Because the whole idea of the inspectors general is that they are an independent body that is above the partisan politics and that will hold Democrats and Republicans accountable alike. And Donald Trump is just crapping all over that. And I just want to give you a sense of the type of return on investment that we see from our inspectors general's offices and how Donald Trump is just overtly politicizing these offices when he very well should not be. Here's Mike Ware again.
Well, the impact is this. I'll tell you, our community has been doing effective work since inception of the IG Act in 1978. In the last 10 years alone, we have over $143 billion in investigative recoveries alone. We have a $26 return on investment on every dollar spent on IG offices. In my office at SBA alone, over the past 5 years, we have a return on investment of over $50 per every dollar spent on us. So what is being stripped away is an independent way to provide the type of protections and the type of transparency that every American citizen decides or deserves, rather. And that's what's at stake. And you know, what's interesting is that for years, we have been viewed as non-partisan, non-political. What's happening right now is historic in that this has never happened before. When the IG Act was first passed in President Reagan's first term at the beginning, he attempted to do this and then pulled back the attempt after realizing that this type of checks and balance is exactly what is baked into our very Constitution. But it was only a couple of weeks ago that Senator Joni Ernst touted the work of IGs and our independence and created the IG caucus within the Senate. And we would hope that the IG caucus stands up for what is right and stands up for independent oversight and stands up for transparency in government.
So for every dollar that we give to the inspectors generals, we get $26 in return. Donald Trump campaigned on making the government more efficient. And this is completely contrary to that mission. If he is just going to replace these people with loyalists who are just going to turn the other way if Donald Trump wants to break the law or engage in more corruption, he is going against the campaign promises that he made to the American people. And we should call this out. And MAGA should be outraged by this. They want a government that is going to function properly. We do not want a dictator or a wannabe authoritarian who is just appointing loyalists all over the place so Donald Trump can line his own pockets and his buddies' pockets. That is not how our government is supposed to work. These independent bodies, these inspectors general's offices, are an important check on the executive power that Donald Trump has. And now he is just eroding all of that because we know that Donald Trump is just looking out for Donald Trump. And we can't even get principled Republicans to call this out as a law-breaking action that it actually was. I mean, just listen to how Lindsey Graham responds to what Donald Trump did.
But very quickly, the law says he's supposed to give you 30 days notice. He didn't do that. Do you think he violated the law?
Well, technically, yeah, but he has the authority to do it. So I'm not, losing a whole lot of sleep that he wants to change the personnel out.
Yeah, so he technically broke the law, but he's got the authority to do it, and I don't really care. I mean, what is this nonsense? What happened to the rule of law? Lindsey Graham understands the importance of these inspectors general's offices. He understands that we need independent bodies that can call out the corruption, that can go on fact-finding missions in an objective manner. And Donald Trump is just getting rid of all of that. And not only that, he did it in an illegal way. Shame on Lindsey Graham. And I just cannot believe how many times these Republicans roll over for Donald Trump. When are they going to realize that he is the swamp? Just like Adam Schiff said, if you're going to get rid of these inspectors generals and just replace them with loyalists, all you are doing is filling the swamp back up.
Yeah, he broke the law, and not just any law, but a law meant to crowd out waste, fraud, and abuse. And yeah, the remedies Congress has. We have the power of the purse. We have the power right now to confirm or not confirm people for cabinet positions that control agencies or would control agencies whose inspector generals have just been fired. And let's remember, in his first term, he fired an inspector general for providing whistleblower complaints to Congress, fired an inspector general for saying the pandemic response, his response, had flaws. The American people, if we don't have good and independent inspector generals, are going to see the swamp refill. They're going to see rampant waste, fraud. They're going to see corruption. It may be the president's goal here, when he's got a meme coin that's making him billions, is to remove anyone that's going to call the public attention to his malfeasance.
And he is exactly right about that, especially when you look at things like the Trump and the Melania coin, where billions of dollars were created overnight for the Trump family. Of course, he wants to put people in these positions that are going to look the other way so he can just do whatever he wants to do. This is completely contrary to what Donald Trump ran on. This is completely contrary to what MAGA voted for. And we should call this out every step of the way because Donald Trump is the swamp. He is one of the most corrupt presidents that this country has ever seen. And this second Trump administration, it is all out in the open. He is not even hiding it anymore. So we need to call this out as much as possible. We need a government that functions for the people, not something that just functions for Donald Trump. But if this past week has shown us anything, it is that Donald Trump, again, is not interested in accountability, in transparency, and more importantly, he's not interested in governing for the rest of America. He is only interested in Donald Trump. So I will leave it there for now. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share it with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We are trying to build something here on the left that can adequately push back against the piles of crap that is the right-wing media ecosystem. So if you do appreciate the work I do here, please do remember to subscribe. If you want to see how Donald Trump is basically sanctioning political violence in the name of MAGA, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.